This is the time I tell you about the hotline, but we can do one better. In studio, Tre Tipton, former Pitt receiver. Not on the hotline, but in studio, brought to you by Nemacolin. Around every corner, Nemacolin creates real-life magic for guests. There's quite the story to tell, and we're going to tell it over the next 40 minutes or so. I'm Colin Dunlap alongside Chris Mack, and Tre joins us now, Tre Tipton. Tre, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing all right.
There is such a tale to tell. Don't even know where to start because there's, again, so much out there. Disney Spirit Award winner. You've done so much. You've got through so much at Pitt. I guess we'll just get it right out there. You realized in your time at Pitt that you look out and you see all these guys running around there. Everybody's a talented football player. Maybe some people don't want to talk about it, but you have to. Mental health's a really big deal. And it took for you to hit a place that was awful to understand that, right?
100%, man. It was a lot of dark days. You know what I mean? I had to learn to grow up a little bit and learn to be on my own. But once I kind of learned to figure out who I was, became a little bit easier. And then that's when I wanted to start helping other people to be who they wanted to be.
Tell me about this bridge. Tell me what happened. Because people read it, they see the story.
Man. So the bridge itself, man, how it started was I walked down to the point and I seen the bridge because I was looking at the stadium. And this was right after we just had I forget who we just had beaten, but it was bothering me that I wasn't able to be out there with the guys. And then on top of that, I was going through my own mental health issues back home as well as in my relationship. So I had walked down to the point, and then I had seen the bridge and seen the stadium, and I had looked at the bridge, and then immediately I just, for some reason, was thinking in my head, like, yeah, it's okay to do this right now. So as I started to walk up to the bridge and I got to the bridge, I'm looking into the dark water, and as I'm looking into the dark water, I'm like, man, I just don't want to be here anymore. Negative thoughts are running through my head. Like when I say running through my head, it was like somebody else was talking to me the whole time, right? So as I climbed on the opposite side of the bridge, right, and I'm sitting there and I'm just looking at the water, and there's something just keep telling me it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. Until something changed. Like I slipped, and then as soon as I slipped and I caught myself, it was like something in my head changed. Like it was like God called on me and was like, you're not ready to go yet. So in that moment, when I climbed back over the bridge, I was sitting there and I told myself, I would never, ever, ever be back here again. I will never, ever, ever be this person again. So what I did was when I went to go leave that bridge, I had a blue V-neck shirt on, and I walked the whole way back home shirtless with a little Pitt zip up because I had taken my shirt off and dumped it into the water. Reason I had did that because I said, today this trade dies here. You know what I mean? The new trade that's coming about, the new trade that I have to be, has to change, and it has to change now or I'm not going to live.
When you get home that night and you got the long walk back, right? You get back to, I assume in Oakland,
Yeah,
right? And you walk all the way back to Oakland from the point, from the Fort Duquesne Bridge. Where does your mind go on the walk back? And you talk about, it was almost like a switch was flipped. How did you take that moment and I guess actually turn it into action rather than just, again, thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to change the way I'm doing things, but you have to actually then manifest that.
Right. And that took time, man. That wasn't something that just happened overnight, as you said. I went home that night, and I stayed up the rest of the night. Couldn't sleep because it was one of those things where I was just confused for a second. Like, I wanted to take my life at one point, and it literally there was a switch. Like, when I say it was a switch, it changed everything. So as I sat there in the dark some, like, majority of the hours, man, I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, what am I going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again, So I started reaching out to different people, you know what I mean? Reaching out to different friends, people to just to let them know what I'm going through, let them know how I'm feeling. Then on top of that, I started looking at the people around me that had better mindsets than me, right? Like the positive people in our locker room, the positive people with it around me. So one of the people that I was looking and confiding in was Jordan Whitehead. I seen on how he worked in his work ethic and how he did push-up. Like this kid did 1,000 push-ups a day. You know what I mean? And in my head, I was like, okay, like let me get my first step into changing me, in competing against myself and trying to do things that I've never done before. Because I was never that type of kid. I was 150 soaking wet when I came in. You know what I'm saying? So I realized I had to make a change. So
Tre Tipton, former Pitt receiver, joining us here. This is 2015. This all happens. You push through. You get hurt a couple more times.
Yeah.
Your mom passes away.
Yeah.
Do you ever stop and say, okay, my new calling on this earth is to help people because I've been through all of this stuff.
Right.
That maybe my true calling is to tell other people they can get to where I am or they can get through it too.
For sure, man. I definitely feel like that's where I'm at right now. That's my purpose, is to help people. I've always wanted to be a superhero, and here's my opportunity. So I plan on doing everything that I can to help everybody around me, and I'm not gonna stop until I feel like the job is done.
Do you feel like you've transitioned to that point where you talk about the positive influences that you looked for
Yeah.
after that night? And the positive influences, it can be hard. I know this from my own experience. I imagine it was hard for you as well when you're in that headspace, that negative headspace, to look at the people who are doing things right and look at them. Sometimes it's difficult to look at them with admiration. You look at them more with jealousy. Like, why are they getting it right, but I can't get it right? As you developed those relationships with those people who were your positive influences, do you feel like you've conquered that point where you've conquered those feelings of, I guess, insufficiency or whatever it may be that really lead to mental health issues in the first place?
Well, here's the thing: depression never really leaves. You know what I mean? It comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, man, it wasn't like the times got easier. As you said before, my mom passed away, right? So it wasn't like the times got easier. Times got a lot harder. I just got a lot stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how I got stronger was I started to pay attention to the things I was telling myself. I started paying attention to the people who were around me, what I was feeding myself. And this is all important, okay? So what you're feeding yourself involves you. What music are you listening to? Who are you hanging out around with, right? What's your energy being given to? If it's all negative, what do you think you're going to become? A negative person. So with that, I had to change the people I was around and change my thought process. Because if I didn't, I'd still be a negative person, you know?
Is this something that's, you look at every little kid, everybody in the WPIL.
Right.
You were in the WPL, kind of, a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Apollo Ridge is way out. This is like 7 hours.
We're still the
from here.
whip you, though. We're still the whip. We're still the whip you.
But every kid in the WPIL that plays football, that straps it up, they go, I want to be a college football player. I want to be a college basketball player. Let's go. And they get out there, and then once they show up at practice, there's 100 kids out on that practice field, man. And then sometimes, you can attest to this, you get hurt. You mess your knee up. You mess your elbow up. You get a concussion. You can't play. They think it's all gravy once they show up on campus. How many kids go through that time where they're not the big dog anymore and have to battle that, and it's depression?
Man, I feel like majority of the kids who step on campus go through that. You know what I mean? Whether you're an athlete or not, but then to be an athlete at such a high scale, it's definitely made a lot more. You know what I mean? When you see all these different kids from different areas, California, Florida, Michigan, and these kids are just as fast, just as strong, just as talented. You got to figure out how are you going to separate yourself.
Right.
And some kids are not used to that. Some kids are usually used to walking into the pool of sharks and being the big dog, right? But at the end of the day, like, you got to realize where's your least ability. What's your talent doing? Is your talent struggling here? Is it struggling there? How can I get better? If you're not looking to get better, you're just going to stay stagnant.
Well, how do you extract yourself from that? Because you said, are there enough resources? Are there enough people to talk to? Is that something you can change in this country? Everybody has problems, right? But college athletes, people think they're always bulletproof and on top of the world.
Right. And I feel like we're superhuman, you know? We're just humans who do something super. But at the same time, man, you got to realize we still have feelings, we still got thoughts, we still got emotions. So you have to understand what we're going through. Understand that we're trying our best to do our best. And that's where I come in. That's where I try to help people, and that's why I do what I do. Because I remember being that freshman, like, oh, my gosh, I got my eyes in the lights, like, I don't know what's going on. This is so much, this is so much, this is so much. And then once I was able to calm myself down, I was able to play my game.
How do you you talked about getting away from the negative, I guess, habits, for lack of a better way to put it, for a kid who may be in high school or college right now listening. How did you do that? Like because for someone who's stuck in that spot, you quite literally feel like you can't do anything. You feel helpless.
Right.
How did you take that first step into saying, no, I'm going to change the way I handle just absolutely everything. I'm going to change the vibe, for lack of a better way to put it, of my life on a daily basis?
I set up 3 goals. I told myself off rip, I'm going to play this year is my first goal, right? My second goal is I'm going to outwork everybody. My third goal, I'm going to do it with a smile, right? So every single day I would tell myself positive things. Self-affirmation is a real thing. So even this morning before I even came here, I told myself, you'll be great. You'll kill it today. You will do certain things that most people can't do. The reason why I tell myself that is because you have to believe you are your MVP. If you do not believe you are your MVP, you have no shot of beating your demons. So I had to realize that I had to focus on me and my positivity for me to be able to give positivity back. And I focused on it, man. Those 3 goals I went after. When I say I went after it, I was doing 2-3 workouts a day. and I couldn't help it. It was like I was addicted to the drug of being successful.
This is all great and everything, but we stand down at the practice field. We see all those guys. They're gigantic. You got linemen that are big. This is every football program in the country. These basketball players that are 7-footers. What did it take to say, okay, I need to talk to somebody. I need help. Because you're not supposed to be that person as a football player, Trey. You're not. You're the toughest dude on campus. You're the baddest dude in your hometown. You're not supposed to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I got problems. Like, did that take a lot for you? And do you find that not enough people are willing to open themselves?
No, that's 100% true, man. That's very difficult to do. Even for myself, it took me a while, even after I got off that bridge, to say, like, yeah, I really need to see somebody. Because at first you don't want to admit to yourself, like, man, I got a problem.
Right.
Like, something's really hurting me, and I can't even control it, right? So once I got to that point where there was just, like, nowhere else to turn, I was like, okay, it's time for me to say something. It's time for me to speak up. And I feel like that's one of the bigger things I've been able to do as of recently. I've built my tribe, right? I have my therapist. I have the people around me that I can trust, I can talk to. I had to go really build on Tre Tipton. And back to your point, that was hard. That was very difficult, man, because, again, we've been told all of our lives that don't do this, don't be soft, stop crying, get up, rub some dirt in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, nah, man, I'm going to change the game.
How do you now look back on those formative moments from your youth that shaped the mental battles you had to fight, those demons? How do you look back on them now? Are they still just as painful as they were and you just simply work through it in a different way? Or do you look back on them now and say, well, okay, that's just part of what shaped me and who I am, and I don't want to say you embrace the bad things that happened to you growing up, but you look at them as they're what shaped you?
For sure, man, because I really, really appreciate all the pain that I went through because it built the warrior that I am now. I'm not a victim, I'm a warrior. Notice the difference. In this world, when trauma hits you, you have two options. You can give up or get up. Pick. You can give up or get up. And I realized I wasn't willing to give up anymore, so I was ready to get up. So in that sense, I had to create that warrior complex within myself of what I'm going through. It's going to be okay. You're going to get up. You're going to fight back. And that's what I started to do.
A little bit more with Tre Tipton. We take him all the way up until 8:40 here on the Fan Morning Show. Bear with us. We come right back. Some more messages, where to reach out, what he's involved in now, what he wants to do in the future. There's lots to get into. Tre Tipton, our friend here, former Pitt receiver from Apollo Ridge. He's been through a whole lot in life, and he's not afraid to open it up and tell you all the things that have happened to him. He thought about taking his life. He tried at one point. His mother passed away. It's just been injury after injury at Pitt. 7 years. 7 years. I mean, you and Patrician played college football for 28 years combined, I think.
Super seniors.
Yes.
Hey, be like that.
Well, tell me, L period, O period, V period, E period.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? What does that mean to other people?
So for us, it means living out victorious every day. Reason why we say that and reason why we believe that is because we want to give you an opportunity to believe that you could win every single day. Because life's already hard, right? And then we're the first people to admit that we notice the negative things before the positive things. But when that happens, man, you can't get yourself out of the hole, right? You've done such great things, even for yourself. You're on 93.7 The Fan, right? But to say something negative happens to you today, first thing you're going to think about is that negative thing all day. You could have had the best day of your life. We want people to stop thinking that way. Find your victory. Find your win. And that's what love does.
You started this a club, so to speak,
Yeah,
at Pitt?
so this was a peer-to-peer club to start. You know, it was one of those things where I had gotten hurt, and I realized that I was like, man, I don't want to ever feel like this ever again. But then I realized there was other people around me that felt the same way. And I was like, let me create something to allow us to talk about it a little bit. And that's when love was created.
How big is the community now?
Oh, man, the community is bigger because I've traveled to different high schools, and they all want to be on board, and they get to know what it means to be a warrior or to be a part of love and whatnot. And a lot of them are really taking it up. And I'm very appreciative of the love.
As great as, and we talk about this a lot on the show, sports related or not, as great as social media can be for connecting people. You know, I have friends all over the world, literally, some of whom I've never met because of social media.
Right.
But it can also be destructive
sure.
to some of those things that you're talking about creating, the positive vibes, the positive thoughts. How have you used it? How have you embraced it? And how have you suggested to younger people who really live their lives on social media how they can use it?
Well, I had to realize I had to take time away from my phone. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain periods of times of the day where people can't even contact me because my phone's just not on. You know what I mean? So when I get on social media, my goal is to use it as a tool, right? That tool is being used to set up a positive message for other people around me. After that tool's done being used, I got to figure out which trade doing today. Who's trade today?
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Say that again.
I'm 25.
You take time away from your phone.
Have to take time away from my phone. If I don't, I'm going to lose my mind.
Use social media. Don't let social media use you.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, man, if I'm too busy looking at what everybody else is doing, of course I'm going to get jealous.
How old are you again?
25.
You know, nobody else thinks like that. How can you make more people think like that? Because all that stuff on there is fake.
Yeah. A lot of fake news. A lot of fake news. And the one thing that I realized was I started thinking back to the points of where I was most happy. You asked me before, like, how did I start to overcome my negative thoughts, right?
Right.
Think of the time periods where you were most happy. For me, is when I was a kid and I didn't have social media. You know what I'm saying? So for the younger generation who lived with social media, I realized I was like, man, like these kids don't know how to live without it. I asked a kid yesterday that was in middle school. I said, do you know who you are? He was like, what do you mean? That's a tough question for a kid that's in middle school, right? I was like, what do you like to do? He said, I don't know. I like TikTok and I like Instagram. I said, no. Do you like to draw? You like to go run? You like to do anything active? He was like, no, I haven't been outside in a while. What?
Yeah.
Right.
How do you push back against that though? How do you get this middle school conversation is great. I have a 13-year-old daughter who spends way too much time on her phone.
Right.
And has activities that we've seen, and I'll just be honest, sorry, Ava, if you're listening, have fallen off, have dwindled off. She doesn't draw like she used to. She doesn't practice guitar like she used to. She spends way too much time on TikTok or Instagram or whatever it may be. How do you tell a middle schooler, hey, you need to live life and find out who you are rather than simply watching everyone else's quote-unquote fake life on your phone?
Right, and that's the thing. That's very difficult because if we had the answer to that right now, right, a lot of problems that we have right now wouldn't be problems.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but even with that said, man, one thing that I told the middle schoolers when I went to Baldwin middle school and high school was find what you like to do for you. At least give yourself 1 hour of you time. It doesn't have to be all day. If you want to be on your phone all day, fine. But you have to dedicate 1 hour, just 1 hour, to just you time. So for your daughter, be like, look, I need your phone for an hour.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I need your phone for an hour. Go do something. I don't care what it is. Go do something. Go draw. Go do makeup. I don't care. Go do something. And that's how my family became with our kids and our family. You know.
Tre Tipton. A little more time. We take a break. We come right back and talk to him. Fabulous, fabulous stuff, and it'll all be archived as well. You can check it out on our podcast page, 937 The Fan. We've talked for 33, almost 34 minutes. We got about 7 or so minutes left here, Tre. When people say, "All right, Tre," and this happens after college, right? And obviously you want to play in the NFL. And let's say that happens or it doesn't happen. And the other side of that, Tre, what do you want to do with your life? People, you get that.
Oh,
right?
I get that all the time,
Right?
man. Listen, people get so confused at the fact that when I tell them what I want to do in my life is to be the best version of me. The reason why I say that is because the tale can go either way, right? I can go down a path of being a part of a marketing group or whatever it may be, or I can go down here and be a motivational speaker. But at the end of the day, what does Tre really want to do, right? And my biggest goal has always been to be a superhero. Now, if I got to go find ways to make money so I can be that superhero, I'll do that. Now, but my biggest thing that I'm doing right now, I'm speaking. So I'm taking my chances, and I'm going to help as many people as possible.
If I sit down in an audience, I'm at an auditorium somewhere, at some junior high or whatever, you walk in and your message is what?
Power of positivity, because it's real. See, your smile is so infectious, but you don't realize how infectious it is until you see somebody else smile because of you, right? So my goal is I always tell them, smile back. Shout out to Mac Miller with that, smile back, right? So that's my biggest thing is to teach people on how to be positive for the people around them because you might be the only positive thing in somebody's life.
I want to switch gears for just a second and talk football. How important is that ring on your hand? I see you wearing the ring, the ACC championship ring.
Hey, y'all just talked about that 7 years I did at Pitt, man. That's
11. I think it was 11.
It was almost 11.
Yes.
It was almost 11. I wear this ring because this is what I worked for. I had opportunities to transfer. I had opportunities to do different things, man. But Pitt has always been my home. Pittsburgh is the city I play for, so this ring means everything to me, and I'm not taking it off.
Well, take me through the power of that, though. You know, whether it's, I don't care what it is, whether it is the knitting club, whether it's the band, whether it's a football team, whatever. The power of being involved in activity and being in a group setting. Did that help get you through?
Oh, my goodness, yes, man. When I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet, my team picked me up. You know what I mean? One of the greatest things I ever experienced was right before the ACC championship, my teammates told me they were doing this for my mom. You know how crazy that felt, man. I was about to cry before the game. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard that from a couple players, there's no way I could fail. You know what I mean?
What's the atmosphere like, and what have you thought of the job Pat Narduzzi has done in creating the culture down there?
He's created a culture of family. Like, you notice every guy that you meet at Pitt is a good guy. Like, you're not going to meet a guy from Pitt right now that's a bad guy. He's not going to say the wrong things. He's not going to be a negative person. He's put the right people in the right positions, and he's created a family atmosphere, which I feel is very important no matter where you go.
What about the on-field product? You create the environment.
Right.
The stage is set.
Right.
You got good dudes. Everybody's working hard every single day. And then you walk out on the field on Saturdays. What has changed about the culture that when I look at a preseason ranking right now, Pitt's in the top 10?
It's a switch. You got to understand it's a switch, right? So Kenny Pickett brought this to us a little bit. You know what I mean? Narduzzi brought this to us last year. It was more so it doesn't matter who's in this building. It doesn't matter who's on the field, right? When we come out that tunnel, it's war. Pick a decision, right? Make a decision. If you can't get ready to come to war, don't come out that locker room. So when you came out on that field, you knew automatically it's time to go.
Well, you can tell us this because you're in the huddle,
Yeah.
right? Now, people say, well, about the command of this, and Kenny's a hot topic right now. Is it a week from now he's going to get drafted, right? Is he that guy? Is he that dude in that huddle? Or is he that guy at practice? Is he the manager of a team, the leader of a team that we all saw on television or in the stands?
100%. There's not even a question to it. He's going to be the guy to tell you right now, shut up, I'm talking. Think about that. Shut up, I'm talking. It's time to go. He's the general. We got to follow. He has to be the leader. And he's proven that time and time again. Think about it. Think about Kenny from his junior year to his senior year. People ask, what was the difference? You've seen the difference. He was a leader. He was the general. Not just a general, the general.
So to circle it all the way back around to someone who's feeling like they're in a spot where you were that night on the Fort Duquesne Bridge and feel like they have no impact on anything, even in their very own lives. How do you take it from if someone's feeling like they're in that spot right now and they're hearing you talk about Kenny, for example, or how you've taken control of your own life? How do they find themselves? How do they get moving down that path toward I want to be the best, like you said, I want to be the best version of myself?
Love yourself first. Say it again. Love yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You can't love your child. You can't love your wife. You can't love anybody around you until you love yourself first. You see what I'm saying? Because you spend 24/7, 365 with yourself, right? You can't run away from you. You can't lie to you. It's not possible. So with that said, you have to love yourself first. You have to fall in love with the fact that you want to go do something. You have to fall in love with the fact that you want to be great. Because when you fall in love with that person, you're unstoppable. You are really unstoppable. If you wanted to move from 93.7 The Fan and create your own something, right, and do what you wanted to do, you could do it, but it would all be on you. You have to be willing to take that risk because it's a scary risk to take.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself has been what has allowed us to do what we have done.
Last thing for you before we let you go. This has been phenomenal. Like I said, we joke, we laugh, whatever. We also like to bring people things that they need, and we thought that people needed this. What happens? Does Tre Tipton have bad days still?
Yes. Tre Tipton has bad days every day. I had a bad day yesterday.
And what happens?
So in my bad days, those are the days that I say I fight the hardest, right? So in my bad days are the days where I tell myself more, I love you today, Tre. Smile today, Tre. You're beautiful today, Tre. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that I have to tell myself, right? Even on those bad days, like my mom's birthday was not too long ago, right? That was very, very hard for me, right? But then that's when I rely on the people around me, my tribe, the people that I've shown and built, say this again, shown and built to understand how I am when I'm upset. So in order for you to do that, you have to speak up. And that's something that as men, we're not used to. Yo, I'm not feeling good today. This is what I look like when I don't feel good. I'm mad today. This is what I look like when I look mad. So then they know what to do to get me out of that mindset, right? So that's what I focus on is my tribe and then also my self-affirmation, my writing down. And I'll give you this one little nugget because I know we got a little bit of time. I take videos of myself being angry. It's the funniest thing that you could possibly do for yourself. If you got time, do it.
You save that to look back on then later when you're mad and you're like.
I literally look at it, like I'll record it. And I'll look at it and see why I'm mad, and I start laughing at myself. Like, why are you even mad, bro? Like, it's not that important.
Tre Tipton, former Pitt receiver. We talk football, we talk baseball, we talk basketball, we talk hockey, we talk everything. And we laugh and we have fun and we joke. This is some of the most important 40 minutes we've ever done in the history of this show. Tre, anything we can do for you, people can reach out. They can find you on all social media channels. Sure. Tre Tipton, Tipton. Just reach out, and you're there for a lot of people and continue to rise. I know that. So anything you need from us, let us know.
Much love. Thank you.
Tre Tipton, former Pitt receiver. We come right back. Fan Morning Show.